and the different instances of database might also go down. It could be that there might be a single failure on one node, there might be a failure of one instance of the database, or you might have an entire data center also failing. Right? So you should be able to address all of these. These will again come at the disaster tolerance hardware that you would use. All right, so you should be ready for any kind of calamity. Usually, you would have a mirroring system. Again, when you're talking with any about any SAP server, you always have a mirroring system, which we call as a hot standby. So whenever there's a transaction happening, the change is recorded on the database, right? So that change is also mirrored immediately onto the mirroring system that is called as hot standby. But in regards to HANA server, since it is very expensive, not all companies use a hot standby. They also use a cold standby, which is basically you have a backup of your data on a hard drive, and a backup of that is always written from one system to the other. All right. So in this scenario, let's also try to look at quick. Just a moment. All right. So when talking about a backup on a distributed system, here you have multiple nodes. If you look at this. Node 1, Node 2, and Node 3, the HANA database, and you have different partitions of the database in different instances. And you have also the file system that is shared individually for each of these instances of database, but you have a shared file system. So you would have a backup capability just in case one of the nodes go down. So you have one of the nodes as a standby node. All right, so you have 3 nodes, basically one for, let's say, a name server, one for your index server, one for your statistics server, and you have one of the nodes which is on a standby. So in case any of these nodes go down, then immediately this node will take over that particular service. So for example, there is a failure on node 3. Let's say this is an index server and statistics server both on node 3. Then immediately node 4 will take over that service or services onto that node and will handle, so that you do not have any delay in starting over. All right. So the nodes could have a single service to it, or you can have multiple services on a single node as well, which means that in case there is some kind of a failure on a node, it has to be that service has to be so. This failover basically is the mechanism for the system on high availability to take over from one node to the other. If you're talking of the failover at the database level, then we'll talk about that. You have save points, and what happens is the data, you do not have any data written actually to a physical drive when you're talking about SAP HANA. Everything is in memory and volatile. So what you do is you're always, whenever there is a change, the switching process is actually included in the hardware itself, and it is controlled. You have again a different setup for controlling the failover. So this is actually programmed automatically. This failover happens. You don't have to trigger anything. Whenever there is a failover of a node, the available node will take over. All right. All right. So coming back to what we were looking actually.